And welcome back. Tim Weisberg with you, and joining us on the line, we have the man who has set Twitter and social media afire, at least within the sports world. And I can tell you right now, Dave, this is Dave Brown joining us of the Concord Monitor, formerly of the Standard Times. I can tell you right now, Dave, that I have worked with you for a long time, and I don't think you're stupid. There's no such thing as stupid people, only stupid questions, right?
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that. Good morning to you. Good morning, South Coast. And, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that the question itself, maybe if Bill had handled it a little bit differently, maybe people might have seen where I was going with it. Because when I set out to ask this question, here's what I was thinking. I was thinking, Belichick has, for 16 years, he's built this franchise on this idea that everybody earns their spot. Everything's up for evaluation. Everything's up for review. And he said it countless times. I quoted a couple of them in some stories I wrote yesterday. And now he's saying that there's one person who's sort of above this this philosophy, and it's Tom Brady. And of course it's Tom Brady. Of course Tom Brady's above this philosophy. But even Belichick's acknowledging it now. Like, even he's saying, this guy is so great. He's a Hall of Famer. He's so legendary. And he gets this status. And you know what? It doesn't seem like anybody in Foxborough has a problem with that. And that's amazing. That's amazing that Tom Brady's at that level. So that's kind of where I was heading. And, listen, with Bill, you always expect some degree of pushback or cynicism toward your line of questioning. I didn't necessarily think that I was going to get the reaction I did. But at the end of it, I'm just glad it was a genuine reaction. That's how he feels about the idea of Jimmy replacing Tom. And it's genuine. And you know what? At the end of the day, as a reporter, if you get a genuine reaction, I think you should be pleased with that.
Well, I mean, and of course, it's not going to really do much for Jimmy Garoppolo's confidence, but it shows, as you're saying, and if you read the article that you wrote in the Concord Monitor, it shows that, you agree 100% that, like you just said, of course, this is Tom Brady. It's not like you were trying to set up some kind of, controversial angle. You're basically just trying to prove this is how much respect that Brady has earned, and this is the position that Brady has earned. And by the way, he's still playing at that great level. But the problem is there's just been such a culture there in Foxborough. I know because I'm there covering the team, not all the time, but on game days, and there's just such a culture of, if you ask a question that Belichick is going to be dismissive of, then why ask it at all? Right.
And not just that Belichick is good. Well, let's put it this way. People say the question was stupid. Read all of the questions in the Bill Belichick interview, the ones that don't get any attention. They are awkwardly worded. They are very minimal in scope. They're sort of stupid questions. It's almost like every Bill Belichick press conference is like 15 to 20 minutes of stupid questions. And that's by design, because there's no real way to get him to say something substantive unless you want to talk about Lawrence Taylor or Pepper Johnson or Troy Brown, something that happened more than 10 years ago. He'll give you great answers. He'll give you these long, substantive, wonderful answers. But if you want to talk about today's team, you're in a position where, okay, how do I word this so I don't make him angry? And he's basically set the rules of engagement where you have to filter out anything interesting and hope he doesn't get angry at you. But I don't know how that serves us.
Right, and I've been doing it for a long time, and I don't really go into it with the idea of, somebody's going to be that guy who has to stand up and start pushing and asking these questions. I don't really look at it like that because I've seen it turn so quickly into just a dismissive situation. So it kind of makes a challenge for us as the reporters to find a way to ask the question that we want to ask in a way that we might be able to get a thoughtful answer and not have it be easily dismissed. So with that being said, I mean, how did you, when did this question pop into your mind that you wanted to ask it, and how much thought did you put into the way that it would be worded?
Yeah, that's a good question. As soon as I wasn't there on Wednesday. In fact, I wasn't even doing this job on Wednesday. that was when actually I got the assignment from Concord. So I've been doing this for all 2 days. But on Wednesday, I read the transcripts from his press conference that morning. And when I saw him say, Tom will be the starter when he comes back, I like immediately that he said that in a little preamble before people started asking questions. And I immediately went to look for a follow-up. Something along the lines of, a follow-up within the transcript of somebody asking, well, that's interesting that you already decided that. Like, he hasn't thrown one pass in training camp, and you decided that. And last year, and I can't dig up the quote, but it's out there somewhere. Last year, Belichick said something along the lines of, I've seen guys go from Pro Bowl caliber to less than NFL caliber in season. And that's what training camp is for, to figure that out, to make sure that, hey, Tom Brady's where he's supposed to be. He said this before one practice, so that just stuck out to me. And here's the thing. With Belichick, you can, I'm sure, Tim, you can predict. If I give you a question, you can tell me how Belichick's going to answer it. And I don't ask him that many questions. I never did in the past when I was covering the team. I don't plan on doing it now. But when I get to a point where I don't know what he's going to say, I have to ask the question. And that's exactly what happened here. I said, what's he going to say? And I couldn't find one of his, stock answers such as, we'll do what's best for the team, or, we're focused on today. He couldn't go to those things. So that put him in a place to give me a genuine answer, and that's exactly how it worked out.
Well, and of course, all right, well, we're just worried about, getting ready and all that kind of stuff. That would be dismissive of the question. But even if he said, we're going to do what's best for the team, that could have turned into a huge thing as well, because, that could have meant any number of things. So
that would have meant we're going to make an evaluation later.
Now, with this happening, though, and with the kind of the reaction that's happened, I don't know if you have been – I know that you've been getting inundated with people telling you all this, but you kind of stayed below the radar in terms of who you were. You were just sitting back and watching people call out this reporter without actually naming you. I heard somebody on overnight radio mention your name and actually call for your credential to be revoked over asking this question.
Well, yeah, it's funny. There was a point yesterday where I probably could have just got in the car, gone home, and no one would have known who I was. I could have just kept my name to myself and never showed my face again. And it's like I said, this is a new position. We were still, while this was all raging, okay, and spreading all over social media, we were still sort of working on the kinks with the blog that I do. So we weren't able to get a post up until much later than I would have liked. But it is weird to listen to everybody sort of making comments about you and in an anonymous way. It's almost like the reverse of how it usually works, where an anonymous person is making a comment about a specific person. I was listening to well-known people make comments about an anonymous person. It was a bizarre day, to say the least.
And some of the names that people were calling you, and you were sharing some of them on Facebook and everything, saying that you were called a nincompoop, an idiot, stupid, right. All of these adjectives to describe somebody who just asked this question. I mean, it's not like this shows a complete and utter lack of intelligence on your part, especially when you look at the answer that was given. It kind of makes sense why you would ask it, but I mean, how does that make you feel to know that this is the way that people are judging you based on one question in a press conference?
Well, here's the thing that I find most surprising and a little bit upsetting is that I got way more hostility from media members than I did from readers and just Twitter people. I mean, I got one death suggestion from a Twitter follower, not a death threat, but definitely a suggestion that I, go ahead and move on. But otherwise, a few people who were a little skeptical of what I said, and I tweeted back and forth with them, and they said, yeah, okay, I mean, it's not the worst thing ever. And I think a lot of people on Twitter were just kind of enjoying the moment, which is really what was the interesting and the part of this that, what Bill said, this interesting thing, and people were enjoying it. But the media has a job to do. And they're making their own job tougher by putting someone in the position I was in yesterday. At least treating somebody that way. Because now everybody's got to have in the back of their mind, is this question so stupid that people are going to give me a hard time?
Mm-hmm.
And if we do each other a solid and we don't rake ourselves over the coals, then, okay, maybe somebody's going to ask a question they might think is stupid that leads to something that a piece of information we didn't have before or something great. And so I'm a little troubled by this idea that people who didn't even know me, people who didn't even take the time to talk to me, and see where I was coming from, were so harsh immediately. And I'll give Tom Curran some credit, because even though he said some negative things about me, wrote some negative things about me, he actually came up to me and wanted to hear what I had to say about it. And, we had a good conversation, and I just wish a few more people had considered taking the time to talk to me before they went maybe on one of the Boston radio stations that said some things about me.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, like, anybody who goes and, like, Googles your name and Googles Dave Brown and Concord Monitor is going to realize you've only been on the job for a couple of days, but they don't realize that you have years of experience covering the team when you were here with the Standard Times, and, you understood how that Foxborough dynamic works going into this, and you also kind of probably understood, because you've been there and you've been sitting next to me in press conferences when we've seen just kind of the look on each other's faces when somebody asks a question. These national guys will come in, or these TV people will come in, and they don't understand how it all works, and they're going to be the tough guy that gets Bill Belichick to answer a question about Deflategate or Spygate or one of those things, and we always know how that works. So you went into this knowing that you could suffer a little bit for asking the question, even if it was nothing more than just Belichick wouldn't give you any good answer for the rest of the season.
Right. I'm getting credit for sort of being naive, and the two kinds of stupid here. One, that it's a stupid question, and two, that I didn't know how it was going to play out. And the second part, that naivety, that's not exactly true. You want to criticize the question, fine. But, I mean, I've seen him, let me put it this way. I'm not ashamed to say that it took a little bit of guts for me to ask that question, and there were a couple times during the during that press conference that I'm wondering, all right, am I really going to ask this question? But I also want to point out one other thing. People have been saying that, I, in a sense, kind of ruined the press. Not press people, but some other readers have said maybe I ruined it for some other reporters. And I do want to point out that I gave some deference to the other people by letting everybody get their questions out. I waited until Stacey James, who runs the press relations down there, I waited for him to check his watch 2 times, indicating that the end was coming before I put this question out there.
Right, absolutely. And that's the thing is, I understand how they handle things and how Bill wants to work with the media. I respect it. I have no problem with it. I'm not of that old guard that was there for Pete Carroll, who would have no problem, hanging around and talking to everybody one-on-one after press conference. I didn't go through that. This is the only NFL coverage that I've ever known, and I don't have an issue with it because, first of all, I think it kind of makes it more of a challenge for us as writers to be able to work with what we're given, and I actually enjoy that part of it, and I enjoy that aspect of it. But by the same token, do you feel like there are questions that somebody has to ask? Do you subscribe to that mindset of, it's your job to ask the question?
I think you have to ask any question you want the answer to, and look, maybe they won't answer it, but you put it out there, and all these people who are saying the question was stupid, I guarantee they went to a school somewhere that on the first day said, there aren't stupid questions. You've got to get it out there. And let me say this, by the way. I don't disagree with how Belichick reacted. I don't disagree with his point. And like you, I wasn't there for Pete Carroll either. And I understand that Bill's combativeness with the media is essential to the team's success. Mm-hmm. His tired answers, all the stuff that we're focused on today, we'll do it best for the team, do your job, it is what it is, that filters down to the players, and it keeps them out of controversy, and it keeps them focused on getting things done they're supposed to get done today and not worrying about things they're not supposed to worry about. It's part of his genius. But that doesn't mean that I'm not on his agenda. I have my agenda. I have my paper that I write for. I have my stories that's right. And so I got to go do a thing that he's not going to like. But it doesn't mean I disrespect his process or why he does it this way.
See, and you used to be known as the guy who discovered Dante Stallworth's alter ego.
Yes, Nico.
That's used to be what you were known for. Now you're going to be the Jesus Christ guy. So I guess, it's a step up going from an alien from another planet to being referenced as the world's savior and Messiah.
Yeah, now I've gone from alien life to basically God. So I'll take it.
So now, obviously now this isn't going to deter you in covering the team. So you'll be there, and we'll get to see each other on game days, hopefully. But in actuality, obviously, as Belichick said, there's no chance that Jimmy Garoppolo is coming in and taking away Tom Brady's job. Right. But do you think that he could succeed at a high level and keep this team in the thick of things while Brady is out?
Well, here's the thing. Belichick's answer did tell me something. It tells me that if he thought that he doesn't think Garoppolo has any chance to cause a controversy, and he's assessed his skills, and he said he's giving us the impression that he doesn't have to worry about that coming up down the line. If he would be handling the media much differently if he thought there were sort of a parallel to a Brady-Bledsoe kind of situation. But listen, I think Garoppolo has a good situation where he's been in the system for a few years. He has the right kind of players around him. The Patriots have an offense that is sort of designed for somebody to step in and, okay, here are your tight ends you can check down to. Here's Julian Edelman you can check down to. If Deion Lewis is healthy, here's a guy coming to the backfield you can check down to. There's a lot of options for him to do that short yardage stuff. They basically, they still kind of pass for run. Now, if the backfield isn't completely healthy, and if the offensive line is anything like it was last year, and Brady saved them, his ability to move in the pocket and avoid sacks, he saved them to a pretty. They were bad, and he made them look less bad. Okay,
right.
They need a much stronger performance from that line because Jimmy's just not going to be able to do what Tom does behind the line. Most likely, he does have a little mobility, but there's that pocket presence that we don't know if he has yet.
And if he does come out and play well, does he become Aaron Rodgers stuck behind Brett Favre, or does he become trade bait and Jacoby Brissett becomes the future?
Certainly depends on how well he plays. And people have already kind of made this plan where Jimmy plays well, he gets traded, Jacoby's number 2. Well, Jacoby's had 2 days of practice, so let's relax on Jacoby for a second. Very nice guy, really nice. He could be the future, but let's wait. We'll find out at some point. I think that if we could have sort of a parallel to Matt Castle. This guy can come out and prove that he is a starter-worthy quarterback, maybe in a franchise with a less stellar number 1, and then you can do your trade stuff. Not a lot of trades in the NFL during the regular season, so maybe next year when the Pats look for draft capital, maybe if Garoppolo proves himself, they can move him.
Well, at the very least, everybody wanted to call the question stupid and take you to task for asking it, but you gave everybody the quote to put into their story on the second day of training camp, when otherwise all we would be writing about is, what offensive lineman looks like he's ready to retire, or what running back didn't pass conditioning drills. So thank you for at least giving us a little bit more of something to talk about here on day 2.
All right, then. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Dave, and I'll see you soon.
All right, take care.
That is Dave Brown of the Concord Monitor. And I think we're going to just have to nickname him Jesus around Foxborough. I don't mean that to be blasphemous at all, but I can't think of anything else. Before this all existed, before this story broke yesterday, before this became a story, we would have just been talking about day 2 of camp. So it gives us a little bit something interesting to talk about down in Foxborough that doesn't start with the D word. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more.
1420